Hello, I'm Michael Cantrell, and you are listening to the Prison Officer Podcast, a place to have a conversation about the forgotten cops that work in this country's jails, prisons, and correctional centers. A place for me to try to make sense of a career spent working inside the fence with some of the greatest people that nobody sees or recognizes for the important job they do to keep this world safe. If you love this podcast, hit the follow button, or better yet, share with your family, friends, or coworkers. Hey guys, welcome back to the Prison Officer Podcast. This is Mike Cantrell, and as always, I want to stop for a minute, and I want to thank Pepperball. You know, if it wasn't for them, this podcast wouldn't be possible. This podcast has been listened to in over 141 countries. I've had over 200,000 downloads. There's, I think, 113 episodes up right now. So, you know, all that information, all the people we got to talk to, the great leaders, the great trainers, the people who've made their mark in corrections, that wouldn't be possible without Pepperball. So if you get the chance, go to www.pepperball.com and just tell them hi. Tell them thank you, that you appreciate the fact that they sponsor the Prison Officer Podcast. Now, here's what I want to talk to you about this week. If you didn't get the chance to go to the Missouri Correctional Association / Missouri Probation Parole Officers Association Fall Conference, we had it down at Chateau at the Lake. It's not Chateau in the Lake, it's Chateau at the Lake in Branson, Missouri. And it was a great venue, had a great time down there. I got to teach a couple of classes, and so really enjoyed that. But the other thing I got to do while I was there was sit down and talk to some amazing people. And so I've got these videos loaded up. They're going to come along here. We're going to talk about gangs. We're going to talk about training new staff. We're going to talk about probation and parole and how that works with keeping our inmates and offenders out of our prisons and out of our jails. So stand by. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Prison Officer Podcast. This is Mike Cantrell. I'm coming to you from the Missouri Correctional Association, where I'm Missouri Correctional Association and the MPPOA. They've come together, which is the Missouri Probation and Parole Officers Association. They come together and have a fall conference together each year. And so I wanted to make sure that we got some probation and parole officers in here. So we're going to talk to them now. Tiffany Deal, yes, correct? And Christy Lockwood. I don't know why I was getting ready to say Sandra, but Christy Lockwood. Christy's retired, and Tiffany still works actively.
Yes, I work actively at District 27 in Jefferson City as a unit supervisor.
So let me start with you. How did you get into corrections or probation and parole? Did you go straight into P&P?
No, actually, I changed my career 17 years on an ambulance and decided to go to college and change my career. And my instructor took me to District 26 at Fulton, right, and introduced me to Dave Neiman, who was a unit supervisor and a trainer. And I did an internship for 6 months there, and here I am today.
Wow. Helping people, is that the draw?
That is the draw for me, okay. Yes.
Yeah, you got to an ambulance, that's such important work also. But so what did you think when you first came into this? I mean, they're a little bit the same, but they're totally apart.
Well, instead of it being like an emergency, like you go in and you help when you're on an ambulance, right? It's somebody's emergency. That's what you're doing. Okay. Instead of it being an emergency and never seeing the follow through or the end result, I'm going in where they're either coming out of prison or they're coming on to supervision. So it's kind of their emergency, right? Because it's changing and it's made an impact on their life. And so we get to impact and hopefully see that huge change through the time that they're with us to be successful community members.
Yeah. I remember one thing that stuck with me. I started at Missouri State Penitentiary in 1992. And I don't know, 6 months, a year in, I helped the sergeant escort a guy who was getting out. And we walked into the front door and we handed him $3.54, something like that. And the guy had been down for like 30 plus years, and handed him that and said, "See you later," out the front door of Missouri State Penitentiary. And my brain was just like, what do you expect out of this? And I never could wrap my head around that. But we do that much better now, huh?
We do that much better now, yes. They come in and we help them work with what we call the ORAS and the case plans. So we're working with things that they're barriers they're having in life after being locked up for 30 years. Now we need to help reacclimate them. And some people have never had a cell phone, right? They maybe dealt with an iPad in prison, but it's a little bit different because the cell phone has opened huge doors for them. And they're like, well, what do I do? And some of my family's gone, and where do I have, support? So that's a main draw for us.
Even 10 years with technology right now is huge.
It is.
Huge. Christy Lockwood?
Yes.
Retired?
Yes.
Probation and parole? Tell me about how you came into that position, that career. Was it a career for you?
It was a career. Okay. I did almost 27 years.
Oh, wow.
I went to college to be a teacher and decided I didn't like the teaching aspect of the education part of it. So went into criminal justice and then did an internship with the juvenile office and didn't want to be that person that took kids away from their parents. Yeah. Even though it may have been warranted, I didn't want to get shot at.
Sure.
Or, I would not be happy if someone tried to take my kids.
No, they'd get shot at, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I thought, okay, adult probation. So I didn't do any kind of internships, or I had no idea what I was doing when I first started. I didn't even know really what it was.
Right.
Things were just different.
Yeah. I didn't even, I could tell you throughout my career, it wasn't until later in my career that I even understood much about probation and parole.
Right.
Corrections and P&P are so intertwined and so connected, but I don't feel like we connect the way we should. I like seeing this in Missouri. You don't see this everywhere.
Yeah.
Where you have corrections and probation and parole at a conference together, learning the same things, networking. So, yeah, I think this is great. Did you guys have an understanding of what went on the other side in corrections? Because I didn't from my side.
I didn't. When I first started, I had no idea. All I knew is I did not want to be an institutional officer. I wanted to be in the community.
Right.
But no, I didn't have any idea. I think they've done a better job over the years in teaching and educating like field staff.
Is institutional officer a new thing?
An IPO?
IPO, institutional parole officer. No, they've been around.
I don't think we had those back then. Really?
Yeah, okay. They've been around my whole career. Okay. They were around. Institutional parole officers.
What's the difference? Or is there?
They do. I mean, they just have a different function.
They're getting them ready,
writing reports for the board, doing. I think it's more report writing, and
we're doing ORASs now.
And so, yeah.
The prison assessments for them. So,
are you an IPO?
No, but I have been. We have JCCC and Algoa in my district. Right. So, luckily, I've had an opportunity in the last 4 months to go over to JCCC and Algoa and kind of do some assessments for them and help them start the case plan and get rolling on how to tell us where you identified while they were there, things that they were working on. We've also started communicating a little bit. We're calling it like a handoff, a soft handoff. So they're trying to call us before they come to us and let us know, hey, we've recognized there's no transportation because there's no driver's license. Right. We've recognized even though they're coming there, they need to change their person, places, and things. So there's no real family support. Yeah. These are some identified options that are coming out.
One of the things I saw in the feds a lot, of course, I worked at Federal Medical Center in Springfield, a lot of mental health, was there was guys who were going to the street. But if they had mental health problems, that's a special challenge for you guys, isn't it?
Yes.
Trying to find a place to put them, find some place that wants them.
But if they're coming out and they're on medications, like that's that soft handoff. Yeah. And we know, they're telling us, they're enrolled in MAT services. Mm-hmm. Can we get them hooked up with another, partner who has MAT services? So we're kind of getting that going, that ball right before they ever come out, which is nice because again, it's a hand up for us and a hand up for them.
Yeah.
And that's such a change. That's such a change from when I first started. There was no communication between the field and the institution. So that's a positive thing that's happened over the last 20 years, probably. Well, more so even in the last 10 years, really. That's been a huge, huge change.
Mr. Mosley's really pushing that lately for us to make sure that you're doing those soft handoffs, that you're having that communication, because it's the success
absolutely
of our clients.
Most mental health, and I dealt with a lot of, people with severe mental health problems, but the minute they got out of prison, Well, I've been telling them for years, I'm fine. I don't need this.
Right.
So if you don't have somebody watching them, you know, I was sitting one night and the lieutenant and I that were working, we got a call from Oregon. And it was like, best we could tell, this guy was last with you, and you can hear him in the background. I can hear the inmate in the background, who's been released like 6 months ago, and he's just losing it. They're like, what did you give him when he was in? You know, they were just at their wits' end.
Yeah.
So you see the way we drop the ball on that sometimes. So that's good to hear. It's good to hear we're doing a better job. What's one of your biggest successes? What do you remember?
One of my biggest successes was about April this year. Prior to being a unit supervisor, I was an officer in District 6. Christy was my supervisor. And I had a client in the Improving Community Treatment Success Program, which is the ICTS. And I was at Golden Corral, and there was about 4 of my previous clients there.
Right.
And my husband and I were eating. And so one is like, hey, and I'm like, hi. Because I try not to, I let them lead that, right?
Right.
And so here she comes, and she's talking to me and stuff, and then the others come by, and then the male client, we work so hard, my partner and I, we would leave, and they'd say, hey, we can't find him, he's not in groups, whatever, and we would go, and we would find him, and we're like, come on, you know, and he said, I just want you to know, I've been 8 months clean. I graduated out of supervision in January, and I owe everything to you and Becky, and I just so much appreciate it. And he gave me a big old hug, and that I carry that with me because that is one success story that you don't always have.
Absolutely.
So yeah, he was awesome.
Nice. How about you? Long career, you surely have a success story that you
It's
remember.
the same program.
Oh, is it?
And it's not really a specific person.
Hold on just a second. Hey, guys. We're recording here. I'll cut that part out. Thank you. It's the same program.
It's the same program, ICTS. I was a supervisor over that program. And it wasn't so much a specific incident, but it was just generalized, seeing people successful.
Yeah.
Because you don't always get that thanks or that. We had like a graduation or a ceremony when people would, you know, complete their programming. And they weren't cured or they weren't, you know, graduated per se, but they completed a program and they were very proud of it. And those were some of my best moments, were just watching. And I didn't talk a lot at them or really do as much as Tiffany and Becky did as the officers, but just watching their interactions with them, I knew they had worked so hard to get them to that point. And the client worked really hard to get to that point. So
They would have mental health.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Becky and I, one time sat at a hospital until 9:30 in the evening in the emergency waiting with the client until the staff decided that yes, she needed a further evaluation. We were her advocate, and we were her successful need for that application.
It's interesting. You know, in corrections, you don't often get any of that. You don't get to see the end result. You know, my end result is when I drive out of the institution and I look around and there's not crime being committed in the street.
Right.
You know, that's what we get. So it must be it must feel good to see some of those end results and stuff.
This program definitely changed my life. I came into PMP in 2020, right at like the COVID area, and Christy approached me and she's like, hey, we heard you would be really good for this. And
please,
would you? And I was like, I have a social work degree. Sure. Why not? And now I'm a unit supervisor that takes care of the one in Cole County. So I definitely believe in that program.
So what have you seen here at the MCA MPPOA conference?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm on the board for MPPOA, so I have been really busy with that kind of stuff.
Putting on the conference.
Yeah, and answering because I am kind of in my office holding the caseload to help out some of my staff, so I've had to answer for
All right, I'll be back.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by and talking to us. And,
absolutely.
Fascinating stories.
Thank you.
Great meeting you guys.
Good to meet you.
Thanks, everybody. Oh, nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Excellent. Well, welcome back to the Prison Officer Podcast. This is Mike Cantrell again. I'm sitting here with Chelsea Spackler. Is that correct?
Yes.
From the Missouri Department of Corrections. I want to talk to her because they're doing some really interesting stuff with training and the way they're training the new recruits. And so welcome to the Prison Officer Podcast, Chelsea.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. When did you get into corrections? Tell me about that.
Well, 1997, I started out at the Farmington Correctional Center, not in a traditional role as an officer. I started as a substance abuse counselor.
Okay.
And I worked out there for a couple of years, and then Northeast Correctional Center opened up, and I went out there, and I became what old heads would know as classified with the Missouri correction system. And I just kind of worked wherever they'd give me more money at that point.
Yeah. Farmington was a fun place to start at in 97. Were they still doing all the shock stuff down there?
Yes, they had shock treatment. They also had the regimented discipline program.
Right.
And we had saturation housing from all of the offenders that had been returned from Texas from our cell lease program, because we didn't have enough prison beds to house all of the offenders that we had sentenced for a period of incarceration.
I was on that initial trip when I was on Sea Star.
Yeah.
And we went to Crystal City, Texas, and 24 hours straight back. And yeah, that was a whole mess back then.
Yeah, I think their first stop might have been Farmington Correctional Center. I know that we had several hundred of them there. And,
wow.
They came back not so happy. So, yeah, my first year and a half was not really, I guess, in a substance abuse counselor role, because I counted, I inspected, I escorted, I did all those things just without the uniform.
Sure.
Yeah, it was nuts.
So you did that, and then how did you get into training?
Oh, gosh, let's see. 2007.
Okay.
So we're talking 10 years later. I just decided I had a bigger impact. I could reach more people through the training department. I worked my way up to functional unit manager, and I felt like I was making a difference in the housing unit with the people in the housing unit and the staff in the housing unit. But I found my true calling when I was being an adjunct trainer for the Missouri Department of Corrections, and I just got a lot of reward from feeling like I was making a difference with more people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I teach new staff, and one of the things I talk to them about, whatever it is, you've got to find your passion.
Yeah.
You can't do this job forever without a passion.
Yeah.
And training was what became my passion.
Yeah.
I didn't like my first few years as a correctional officer.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't feel like I was accomplishing anything, And then when I got into staff training and seeing the results and how I could impact people.
Yes.
So it's kind of the same thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, you just get more reward for your effort, I think, when you see people succeed, or you see people promote, or you have someone just randomly come up to you one day and say, hey, I know I gave you a hard time in class that day because I hate being in class, but let me tell you what happened and how that class saved me, or how that class helped me. Funny story.
Sure.
So I go to church in a neighborhood that's kind of rough in St. Joseph, Missouri. And I was walking to my car through this neighborhood after service, and I see a taxi whiz by me, stop, hit reverse. And I'm like, uh-oh, what's coming?
Sure.
And this lady in the backseat rolls down her window and she starts screaming. She's like, hey, you. And I'm like getting nervous. I'm like, oh, no. And she says, you spoke at my graduation. I remember you. I loved your speech. It made a difference. So she was a new hire that just saw me walking down the street and had to let me know I made a difference for her.
You're getting ready to retire, and you mentioned that one of the things that surprised me in retirement is how many phone calls I've gotten after retirement with people just want to go, hey, I got this promotion. Hey, I appreciate you investing in me and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I hope that happens for you too.
Oh, I hope so too. Yeah. Deciding to retire is probably the hardest decision to make. I know everyone works for it, going, the day I'm eligible, I'm out. But the day that comes, you're going, yeah, I'm eligible, but what's next?
Right.
So yeah, it was a really hard decision because I love what I do and I love the people that I work with. But I've checked off all the check marks on my list. And so, it's time to let someone else take the helm and see what they can do with it.
Yeah. Who knows? I tell people I failed retirement. I'm still, I go out all the time, and I'm teaching correctional officers,
That's
law
great.
enforcement, and I'm
Yeah.
working as hard now probably as I was then.
Yeah.
Podcast.
I love
So,
it. I love it.
Yeah. So tell me about where are you at now?
I'm at the Academy for Excellence in Corrections, located in Cameron, Missouri.
Okay.
And I'm
That used to be Crossroads?
It used to be Western Missouri.
Western Missouri Correctional
Yeah,
Center.
so
Okay.
Crossroads is still there. We share Perimeter Road.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we've retrofitted a prison into a training academy.
Sorry.
That is, let me tell you what, I've never seen anything like it. I've never heard of anything like it. Our leadership here with the Missouri Department of Corrections is just so innovative in their approach on how to help staff be the best they can. And you know, our mission and vision statement, the vision part of that statement is providing excellence in corrections for a safer Missouri.
Sure.
And so this Academy for Excellence in Corrections helps everyone in the state that hires in a custody role learn our standard of what we expect excellence to be.
Right.
And so we're truly investing in the future of the Missouri Department of Corrections by having this opportunity. I mean, how many places get an opportunity to close a prison? It's still viable enough to turn into a training center and then retrofit it with all of this modern equipment. And I know people are like, oh, I'm going to have to live in a cell. But let me tell you what, they're unrecognizable.
Right.
They are nicer than hotel rooms, I would say. And the people that stay there are like, yeah, this is really nice. And they're almost equivalent to like a college-style dorm room now.
Yeah. Well, you called it immersive training.
Yes.
So tell me what you've hired on with the Missouri Department of Corrections. Tell me what's going to happen.
Well, a whole lot's going to happen.
That's true.
It's a 7-week process from start to finish. So it's not really different than what it was before. It's just now, instead of doing a chunk of it here and then doing the other chunk here, it's every other week they're doing something. So they'll do a week at their work site of orientation, important paperwork, some e-learning modules online to prepare them for when they come to academy. And then every new hire, regardless of job title, is going to do a region week of training. And so each of the 3 regional training centers in the state give every single new employee the same program regardless of where they're going to go work.
Okay.
Then they do a work site week, again, regardless of where they're going to go work. And then our corrections, our custody officers, they all come to the officer academy at the Academy for Excellence in Corrections. And when they get there, the first thing they get is the best part of training, the most entertaining, funnest part of it all. They get all the rules.
Right.
Yeah. And then they get a tour of the facility because, you know, that the facility, we're not using the entirety of it for the academy. It's a huge facility.
Right.
And so we've marked off a quarter of it. A quadrant of the facility is what we use for the academy. The administration building, full use, everything training related. And then most of our central services down to like the warehouse is all training related. So they get to see the training unit, which is the old administrative segregation unit.
Okay.
That has been cleaned out, gutted, but then all offender bunks put back in. Every single DAI facility in the state has donated offender property, contraband, some dangerous contraband, which we track very closely. But we'll set it out. We've made it safe. So if there's like a knife, we've dulled the edges or taped it over with real thick tape. So that as an officer's learning to search, they don't actually cut themselves with real dangerous contraband, you know. But yeah, everything in the training unit is authentic offender property. And so they learn to count in there. They learn to search in there. They learn to pack offender property in there. They learn all the basic, really important skills of a corrections officer. And it's right next door to where they get to stay, too.
It is a far cry from 1992.
Yeah, it sure is.
I went to work in Jefferson City, and there was a hotel up there. Don't remember the name of it, but we were in the basement of that hotel. They came in, gave us a red folder, a binder, and other than defensive tactics, we didn't leave that's what we talked about for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And then we got thrown in.
You just get sent to go, okay, that's where you're going to be today.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think the department learned that the more we invest in someone at the very start, the more likely they are to return that investment. Yeah. And, you know, in the world of business, ROI is like, that's everything, the return on investment. And so our hope is that we get a return on our investment by having a well-trained cadre of staff that are interested in staying and helping get the Missouri Department of Corrections to be the forefront of corrections. You know?
Yeah. One thing I've learned since retiring and going out and training and talking to sheriffs and wardens across the nation, we talk about having this problem with retention, but it's not the retention. Everybody keeps throwing money at it. Everybody keeps throwing this type of stuff at it. The thing I see the most is whether or not the staff feels safe when they walk in. If they walk in and they feel like if they've got the skills to deal with whatever comes at them. And I remember that. I mean, we just got thrown in. We didn't have skills.
I was mortified the first time I did a PAT search because I was in a dining room, you know, and I had 100 offenders watching me do it completely wrong on another offender. You know, and so that's embarrassing. And, you know, and that doesn't happen. It should not be happening now if the program is being followed. Because after the first week with us, then they go to their work site, and the on-the-job component, it follows. So they have an OJT checklist, is what we call it. And we go over all these critical skills in the 3.5 days of a week that they're with us. And then they go to their work site, and now they do that checklist with the skills that we have given them time to practice without the audience. You know, practice to get hands-on, and then they get to perform those with their field training officers at their work site. And so it's like in the world of education, we're scaffolding this knowledge now to build it one plank against another plank on another plank. And it just, I mean, I know it's a catchphrase that we started several years ago, but just seeing the confidence for the right reasons in these new officers is
confidence and skill, knowledge of policy. Those are people that, they're going to stick around.
That's the hope.
Well, I mean, so much is scary about prison when you first walk in. You know, and I've seen so many people over the years. I've seen staff who the first day of training, we show a couple of films, they're gone.
They just walk out.
I wasn't ready for this. You know?
That's not what I thought it was.
So they come in, they live there for the week. I mean, they've got mattresses and stuff.
Real beds.
It's good to go.
Real beds, smart TVs.
So what's a day look like?
Typical day at the academy. We open up the dining room around 6:30. We got free coffee in there. And we don't have hot meals for breakfast, but we provide oatmeal packets, cereal packets, fresh fruit, stuff like that. And then they report to their first class at 8 a.m. And every morning in Officer Academy is a 2-hour block of
classroom in the cell house.
Not all of them. So the first 2 hours of every day is doing defensive tactics. And we used to do all of it all at once. So it was a full day of nothing but, you know, learning how to take down and control if necessary, you know. But now it's 2 hours at a time. And that gives them an opportunity to build upon it every day. And they're actually doing really well retaining it through the full 3-week portion of the Officer Training Academy with the worksite weeks in between. And they're doing really well with the testing process and that. But so every morning they start with footwork and then a different skill. And then they get a little bit of a longer break after that first 2-hour block of instruction. And then they go to their next block of instruction. Now, our classes, since we're training statewide, they've gotten really big. And so the training team has had to really evaluate how do we do this effectively for everybody to be able to learn. And so it's kind of a messy process for someone that doesn't understand the cycle. But we break the groups into cohorts, and we usually assign it by color. So we may have an orange cohort, a yellow cohort, and a green cohort. And it's about 50 cadets per trainer. And then so they will rotate through those modules of instruction throughout the day so that we don't have all 200 cadets in one spot at the same time. So like we could have from 10 to noon, we could have 50 cadets out in the parking lot learning how to do perimeter checks, fence checks, all of that stuff. And while another 50 are in the training unit learning how to count, while another 50 are in food service learning how to search and just monitor an eating a dining room or maybe they're in the visiting area learning how to handle the different things that can happen in a visiting room. So they rotate through that, but they all get the same modules within the same day. They just rotate every 2 hours from one section to another.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So My first interview, and I've talked about this in my book, my first interview, HR asked me, have you ever had a felony? Do you do drugs? And there was this old crusty captain sitting over there, and she said, do you have anything for him? And he goes, you ever been in a fight? And I didn't know how to answer it. I was like, maybe. He's like, you ever win any? I said, a couple. That was it. That was the only question the custody asked me. And I was hired.
They put you on the front man of a 5-man team.
They did immediately. Yeah. So, the world's changed. I'm glad to see that, I can't say enough about making our staff feel safe inside. That's such a huge thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like what you guys are aiming towards and giving them the knowledge and the abilities.
Yeah.
I will tell you that the Missouri Department of Corrections gave me better defensive tactics than I had at any other place back then.
Really?
That I carried through my entire career.
Yeah. We hear that from a lot of individuals who've come to us from military or other corrections departments in other states. They're very grateful for the training that we,
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by and,
thank you
talking to me. And
I really think we're doing big stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a hard decision to walk away from it, but it's it took so long to get there. Yeah. And I had a vision of what it needed to be to get there, and we got there. And so now it's someone else's turn to kind of tweak it and get it to where it's sustainable for a long time. And I really think it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing the program, how it all came together is just absolutely amazing. Credit to the visionary who thought of this. It's just
you're going to see the results of that work for forever.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm just grateful to have been a part of it.
I'd like to go see it sometime.
Well, I'm sure we could get you in there.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Prison Officer Podcast. My name is Mike Cantrell, and I'm here at the Missouri Correctional Association Fall Conference in Branson, Missouri, at the beautiful Chateau on the Lake. This is a new venue, and it's a really nice place. We're having a lot of fun, a lot of classes going on, and I'm grabbing some of these people and talking to them, finding out what's going on with the Missouri Correctional Association. So I've got with me today Mr. Farrell Rooks, and he is a subject matter expert on gangs for the Training Academy. So welcome to the Prison Officer Podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So how did you get into corrections? I always like to start there because everybody found a different path coming to work at corrections. How did it work for you?
Yeah, mine was a little bit different.
Okay.
I'm originally from the south side of St. Louis.
Okay.
Went to college, didn't finish it. I got into retail work during the day. Then I got into security, so I was a bouncer. Some clubs, some smaller bars, things like that. I had a little bit of background in boxing and wrestling and things like that. So that was kind of my niche. And then I had basically a sit down with my older sisters. I got two older sisters. We're 16 and 17 years apart. And that was just kind of not saying that the job that I was doing was an important job, but they sat me down. I was like, little brother's trying to get a big boy job.
Sure. And
you probably need to look at a state or a federal job. And I thought about police, becoming a police officer. And my sister, she's retired military, she did 20 years in the Navy. She said, if you want to go into that, have you looked at corrections first? That'll teach you how to talk to somebody, whether what you're doing now is basically using your hands to make them do what you want them to do.
Good analogy, yeah.
So at that time, I put my application in, and I got hired on at Pacific, which is right outside of St. Louis. And then I actually had too many family members that were there as offenders.
Right.
So I couldn't work there. And then Boonville Correctional Center called me a couple of days later, and that's where I started my career with the department.
Excellent. Correctional officer? Is that how you came in? Okay.
Yeah, but I came in as a CO1. And once I came in, I really enjoyed just being a CO1. I became a member of the CERT team, our Correction Emergency Response team. And that really drew me in and made me stick around a lot. And I actually did not want to promote. I wanted to be a CO1. I was in segregation, which I loved working.
Yeah.
I like dealing with difficult offenders.
Yeah.
That's what I like doing. But then the opportunity came about, and the segregation sergeant position came up, and it was day shift with weekends off. Had never had a weekend day off. So I got lucky and I interviewed and I got on my first try.
Cool.
And I also got into training, which is what I'm doing now. But I started off with defensive tactics, got into firearms, PR-24, our movement teams, riots disturbances. Violence is what I like. We call it hard skills.
Right.
Those are the things I like.
I didn't know Missouri Department of Corrections still had the PR-24.
We do. Yeah, we do. It's so ancient.
I love it.
But I love that side handle. It gives us so much control. I'm actually a senior instructor through Safari Land on that. So I train the trainers on PR-24.
Yeah. No, I missed mine. When I went from the state of Missouri to the feds, we didn't have those. And I missed it because that was something it was always there for you if you were working. Do you have it at all institutions or certain positions now?
Every person that's a member of CERT has to be certified in it.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're a gang specialist.
Yes.
How'd you get into that?
Growing up where I came up, there were gangs everywhere.
Okay.
All through St. Louis. I have some family members that are part of gangs, and I was just kind of working in SEG, and my sergeant at the time, Sergeant Morris, was one of the, at that time, gang task force officers. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to walk back and he's looking at a picture of this guy online. He's throwing up a hand signal. I said, "Oh, well, he's a part of this." And he turned around and said, "How do you know that?" I was like, I don't know. I just do.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of how I got my foot into the door. And once he retired, we switched from considered it as a gang task force, as a security threat group.
Right.
Because that's what we consider them, they're a threat to our security inside of our facility. Yep. And then I became the security threat group officer at Boonville, and then did that for a year or two. And then I became a co-coordinator with our investigator. Yeah. And I did that until I came down to the training center.
So just from my own curiosity, I started Missouri State Penn in 92. And basically, there was the Aryan Brotherhood and there was the Muslims. And they controlled every other gang. But you went to those two people. And then when I went feds, the feds were tracking the feds are tracking 50 gangs when I went to the federal system. So it was a huge shock for me to have to learn all that. So what's going on, or you don't have to get real specific, but what gangs are current, I guess, in the Missouri Department of Corrections? What are you dealing with the most?
So one of our most difficult gangs that we deal with is a security threat group called Family Values. Yeah. It started off as kind of a white separatist group, but now they evolve and they keep on evolving. Those are the ones we probably had the most difficulty with. They're very well versed in manipulating staff. Yeah. Very good at that. We also have a large population of gangster disciples inside of Missouri Department of Corrections.
Chicago-based mainly.
Chicago-based.
So St. Louis makes the sense they're coming that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have a large group of that, but we're also dealing with these hybrid gangs, which are a combination between street and prison gangs. That's really coming up, and I think they're going to be the next big thing. Okay. It's not like it was back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where it was just Bloods and Crips, and that was it. Right. Because a lot of these organizations, like the Gangster Disciples, the Crips, they started back in the 60s. Now, the real gang culture has evolved. Now we're dealing with those individuals' great-grandkids. And there's so many of them that they may be having an issue with another security threat group, but then they have a cousin that's a rival of that. So are you really going to kill your blood family over it? No. So then they will start up a hybrid gang for it. So it's kind of interesting. I actually had a conversation at the Midwest Gang Investigator Association with an officer where it's not unknown in St. Louis to pull over a vehicle and you have a Crip or a Blood in the same vehicle because they're all related and they're hanging out together. And back in, at least when I grew up in the 80s and early 90s, that was unheard of.
Right, yeah. Now, I saw gangs over my career that would work together for money, for drugs, and for sex. They could be polar opposites, but if they could help each other get that, then they would work together. That's interesting that you've got these, they're working together now because they got family members, they got people they know. And
they're all related. And we still have those groups that maybe in the past that were, let's say, black supremacist or white supremacist group that really didn't mess with the other race. But now, if you can make me some money, then we can at least talk. Right? We can at least have a conversation. I think Missouri is highly different, especially talking with people from other states, in the sense that we aren't so segregated as most states. So you go down to Oklahoma, Texas, those places, they self-segregate themselves.
Right.
But in Missouri, we're kind of the melting pot. So it's not difficult or out of the norm to walk outside a facility. You'll see white guys hang out with black guys hang out with Hispanic guys. It's just Missouri's a little bit different. And their focus mainly is on money.
Yeah. That's interesting. I came from a very small town and knew nothing about gangs when I walked into Missouri State Pen. And so you just get hit in the face with it.
Yeah.
So, Midwest Gang Investigators Association. So you're a part of that?
Yeah, so I've been a member for about 3-4 years, and that's basically everybody in the Midwest and is involved with law enforcement. But we have P&P, state and federal P&P. You have deputies, Highway Patrol, DEA, ATF. We had a Border Patrol agent this past couple of weeks ago come in and talk at our conference. We had a conservation agent that was involved in the shooting dealing with sovereign citizens a few years ago at the conference also. And we go to the conference, and it's really about networking, getting to know people, spreading information and talking, because I think just law enforcement, period, gatekeep some information from each other. The bad guys aren't.
Right.
They're talking to each other. So that's kind of like our president, Cynthia Laws. She pushes that at our conferences of making us sit down and talk to each other. Nobody's going to be some cool guy sitting in the back trying to be incognito. You need to get up and talk to people, network, so we can somehow do as much as we can to defeat the gang violence that's going on.
Do you think general law enforcement understands how much intel travels through corrections?
I think they're starting to realize it. I think they're starting to realize it because the outside law enforcement, our patrol officers, they have a very, very dangerous job. They have a mortality rate way higher than corrections, but they only deal with those offenders for a short period of time.
Right.
And then they come to us, and they're with us the majority of their incarceration.
We know more about them than their mothers do sometimes.
Way more. Way more. I have offenders that will be stuck in my mind forever, that they could be walking in front of me at Walmart. I can tell you exactly who they are, what their mentality is, when they're upset about something, when they're angry about something, when they haven't eaten, when they're on dope, when they're off of dope. And I think that information, getting it to outside law enforcement, is going to help them become safer when they're dealing with these guys when they're out on the street.
Absolutely.
Especially our own P&P staff that are out on the street, and when they're going to do a home visit and they're walking to a home where they don't know what's going to happen when the door opens up. But if they have some information prior to them getting there, maybe I need to know how to sit down and talk with these individuals. And some of the classes I taught them, they bring out the outlaw motorcycle gangs. I informed them that if you sit and you talk to one of those guys and you call them a gang, you shut down the conversation. They're not a gang; they're a club.
Right.
In their world.
In their world, yeah.
Right. So just knowing a little piece of information like that when you become involved with the security threat groups helps you be safe when you're dealing with those guys.
Is Missouri still pretty? I know motorcycle clubs have been a problem in Missouri for a long time. They still are?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We had a big shootout in Casablanca a couple of years ago down on the strip at the lake. That was between the Galloping Goose and the Mongols. And we've known forever Galloping Goose pretty much runs Missouri. That's who's in charge. And they've been hit with a RICO case last year.
Oh.
Their current president is now in custody of Missouri Department of Corrections.
Okay.
So they're still very much active in Missouri.
Yeah. Interesting. People, they hear that name and they think that you don't know. Yeah. But for those of us in the know, we've been dealing with them for years.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing. Missouri Correctional Association board member.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how'd that come about? It's,
we have the old president. Her name is Becky Ehlers. She was, when I first started with the department, she was the deputy warden at Bivouac Correctional Center.
Okay.
Then she became the warden, and she retired, and then she stepped down, being the president of MCA. I really didn't have that much knowledge of it, and she called me one day and was like, "Farrell, I think this is a great opportunity for you. I think this is something that the association needs. You're young, but you've got some time in. You've got a lot of experience with dealing with serious situations. You also have a lot of experience with just talking to people, talking to staff, bringing staff together. I think you'd be a good asset to the association." And honestly, at the time, I said, "No, Becky, I'm busy. Like, I got a lot of stuff going on."
Yeah.
And then she called me again and was like, "Listen, you've had some time to think, but I think this is a good opportunity for you." And at that time, I just started at the training academy. Right. And I said, "I'm still real busy." And 2 or 3 days later, she's going to come in here, and I got an email saying, "Welcome to the Missouri Department." The Missouri Correctional Association. And I called her.
It's called voluntold.
Pretty much. Yeah. And I went to the spring or the fall symposium, the spring symposium, and it was about security threat groups. Oh. And so I went through that, and then afterwards had the meeting and realized, this is what I need to be doing. This is something I can add to my plate to help out with corrections, not only just in Missouri, but nationwide. We can network with each other, we can talk to each other, to do the best we can to make it safer for not only our staff and corrections, but we're the last line for the public also. Yeah. Us being safe means our public is safe too. Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating conversation, Farrell.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on here. Hope maybe we'll get you on for a whole episode sometime.
Hey, I'm fully okay with that.
I'd love to talk to you some more.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, guys. Hey, before we go, I'd like to take a minute to thank one of our sponsors. Omni Real-Time Locating System is a company I've been working closely with for years. I'm proud to be a part of this innovative team that's developed the best real-time locating system on the market today for your jail or prison. Omni's PREA-compliant real-time monitoring technology is the very best way to track and record your inmates' locations, their movements, their interactions throughout every square inch of your correctional facility. Imagine getting an alarm the second an escape happens, or an alert that lets you know when an inmate's heart rate drops below a set level. To learn more about Omni, go to www.omnirtls.com. That's omnirtls.com. Or you can click on today's show notes to get in the information guide. Omni Real-Time Locating System is a powerful tool specifically designed for the modern correctional professional. If you haven't done so, please take a moment to like my podcast, or better yet, hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. Thanks for listening, and let's be safe out there. Hey, before we go, I'd like to take a minute to thank one of our sponsors. Omni Real-Time Locating System is a company I've been working closely with for years. I'm proud to be a part of this innovative team that's developed the best real-time locating system on the market today for your jail or prison. Omni's PREA-compliant real-time monitoring technology is the very best way to track and record your inmates' locations, their movements, their interactions throughout every square inch of your correctional facility. Imagine getting an alarm the second an escape happens, or an alert that lets you know when an inmate's heart rate drops below a set level. To learn more about Omni, go to www.omnirtls.com. That's omnirtls.com. Or you can click on today's show notes to get in the information guide. Omni Real-Time Locating System is a powerful tool specifically designed for the modern correctional professional. If you haven't done so, please take a moment to like my podcast, or better yet, hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. Thanks for listening, and let's be safe out there. If you enjoy these podcasts, the best way to support the Prisoner Officer Podcast is to share these episodes with your friends or family on social media. Let me invite you to visit www.theprisonofficer.com. If you haven't already, check out the Prison Officer Podcast on Facebook and click that little follow button. or leave us a message, or better yet, leave us a review. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcast, Google, or Spotify, please click the subscribe button. Till next time, I'm Mike Cantrell. Watch your back, and please take care of each other out there behind those walls.